Listen up, because what I'm about to reveal could be the difference between getting your IRS refund deposited smoothly into your account or watching it vanish into a bureaucratic black hole for months. Right now, thousands of Americans are celebrating confirmed IRS deposits, checking their transcripts with excitement, only to discover their money never arrives. And here's the kicker. It's not the IRS's fault this time. It's one single setting that most people never think to verify. Drop a comment below right now with verified if you've already checked your bank account settings this tax season, and make sure you hit that subscribe button, because this information could save you weeks of frustration and financial stress. The IRS has already begun processing millions of tax returns for the 2025 filing season. And the agency has confirmed that early filers are seeing their refunds hit their accounts faster than ever before. But there's a critical problem that's emerging, and it's catching people completely off guard. Your IRS transcript might show that your refund has been sent. Your Where's My Refund tool might display that beautiful green check mark indicating your deposit is on its way. You might have even received a direct deposit date. But none of that matters if the one crucial setting I'm about to show you isn't configured correctly in your bank account. Let me paint you a clear picture of what's happening right now across the country. Tax professionals are fielding panicked calls from clients who can't understand why their neighbors received their refunds, but their own accounts remain empty. Reddit forums and Facebook groups are exploding with confused taxpayers sharing screenshots of confirmed deposits that never materialized. And the worst part? Most of these people won't realize what went wrong until it's too late to fix it quickly. The IRS will tell you the money was sent. Your bank will tell you they never received it. And you'll be stuck in the middle, potentially waiting an additional 8 to 12 weeks for a paper check to be issued and mailed. Here's what makes this situation so frustrating. The IRS has actually improved its processing systems significantly this year. The agency hired thousands of new employees, upgraded its technology infrastructure, and streamlined many of its procedures. Returns are being processed faster than they have been in years. The average refund is hitting accounts in as little as 8 to 10 days for electronically filed returns with direct deposit. That's remarkable efficiency by government standards. But all of that efficiency means absolutely nothing if your financial institution can't accept the deposit because of how your account is configured. The setting I'm talking about isn't something most people ever think about. It's not your routing number, though that's obviously important. It's not your account number, though you definitely need that to be correct too. This is something deeper, something that exists in the background of your banking relationship, and it's causing massive problems for a specific group of taxpayers this year. Before I reveal exactly what this setting is and how to check it, let me give you some context about why this has become such a widespread issue in 2025. Over the past few years, banks and credit unions have dramatically increased their security measures to combat fraud. That's generally a good thing. Financial institutions are trying to protect their customers from scammers and identity thieves who are constantly developing new schemes to steal money. But these enhanced security measures have created an unintended consequence. Legitimate deposits from the IRS are sometimes being flagged, rejected, or held in limbo because of overly aggressive fraud detection algorithms. Your bank's system might see a large deposit coming from a government agency and automatically flag it for review, especially if you've never received an IRS refund to that account before. Now here's where it gets really specific. And this is the crucial information you need to understand. The setting that's causing the most problems this tax season relates to what banks call deposit authorization, or ACH filtering. Many financial institutions, particularly online banks, neobanks, and credit unions, have implemented systems that require account holders to pre-authorize certain types of deposits or deposits from certain sources. This was originally designed to prevent fraudulent deposits from being placed into accounts, which can then be withdrawn before the fraud is detected, leaving the account holder responsible for the negative balance. Think about how many people switched banks over the past few years. Maybe you moved to a high-yield savings account with an online bank to get better interest rates. Maybe you opened a new checking account to take advantage of a sign-up bonus. Maybe you're using a fintech app like Chime, Current, or Vero that offers early direct deposit features. These newer financial institutions often have stricter deposit controls than traditional banks, and many of them require you to explicitly enable certain types of incoming transfers. If you don't have the right permissions enabled, the IRS deposit will be rejected, and the funds will be sent back to the Treasury Department. Here's what happens when a deposit is rejected. The IRS sends your refund via direct deposit to the routing and account numbers you provided on your tax return. The transaction travels through the ACH network, which is the electronic system that handles most direct deposits in the United States. When it arrives at your bank, the bank's system performs a series of checks. It verifies that the account number exists and is active. It checks whether the account is in good standing and not frozen or restricted. And, critically, it checks whether the account is configured to accept deposits from that particular source or of that particular type. If any of these checks fail, the deposit is rejected and sent back to the originating institution. When the IRS receives a rejected refund, they don't immediately try to send it again. Instead, the agency follows a specific protocol. First, they'll attempt to contact you using the information on your tax return. But let's be honest, how many people actually answer calls from unknown numbers these days? If they can't reach you by phone, they'll send a notice to your address on file. That notice will inform you that your direct deposit was rejected and that a paper check will be issued instead. But here's the problem. That notice can take 2 to 3 weeks to arrive in the mail. Then, you have to wait another 4 to 6 weeks for the actual check to be printed and mailed. We're talking about a total delay of 6 to 9 weeks or more, just because of one incorrect setting. Let me break down exactly how to check if your account has this setting configured correctly. The process varies depending on which financial institution you use, but the general principles are the same. If you bank with a traditional institution like Chase, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, or a local credit union, you typically don't need to worry about this setting, because these banks generally accept all legitimate ACH deposits by default. However, if you're using a newer online bank or a fintech app, you absolutely need to verify this. Start by logging into your bank's mobile app or website. Look for a section called Settings, Account Settings, Security, or Deposit Controls. The exact name varies by institution, but you're looking for any menu option that relates to incoming transfers or deposit authorization. Some banks call it ACH Controls or Direct Deposit Settings. If you're having trouble finding it, use the search function within the app or call your bank's customer service line and specifically ask them whether your account requires pre-authorization for government deposits or IRS refunds. Once you locate the correct section, you're looking for options related to deposit filtering or deposit authorization. Many banks will show you a list of categories or sources that you can enable or disable. You want to make sure that government payments, IRS deposits, or federal payments are enabled and authorized. Some banks require you to specifically add the IRS as an approved sender. Others have a broader category for all government agencies. Make absolutely certain that these are enabled and that there are no restrictions or limits on the deposit amounts. Here's a specific example that's been causing problems this year. Several popular online banks have a setting that limits direct deposits to only those from known employers. The idea behind this is that your paycheck from your regular job is safe, but deposits from unknown sources might be fraudulent. The problem is that the IRS isn't classified as an employer in these systems, so refund deposits get automatically rejected even though they're completely legitimate. You need to either disable this restrictive setting or add the IRS specifically to your list of approved deposit sources. Another critical issue that's emerged involves account verification. Some banks require that you verify your account information before they'll accept certain types of deposits. This verification process might involve receiving small test deposits that you then confirm, or it might require you to upload documentation proving your identity and ownership of the account. If you opened your account recently and haven't completed this verification process, your IRS refund deposit could be rejected. Check your bank's app or website for any pending verification, requirements, or incomplete setup steps. Now let's talk about what to do if you've already filed your tax return and you're not sure whether your account is configured correctly. Don't panic, but don't wait either. Log into your bank account right now and verify those settings immediately. If you discover that your account wasn't set up correctly, fix it as soon as possible. Then, monitor your account closely. Check the IRS. Where's My Refund tool every day to see when your deposit is scheduled to arrive. If the tool shows that your refund has been sent, but the money doesn't appear in your account within 2 business days of the scheduled deposit date, contact your bank immediately. When you call your bank, be specific about what you're asking. Don't just say, "Where's my IRS refund?" Instead, say something like this: "I'm expecting a direct deposit from the US Treasury for my tax refund. According to the IRS, it was sent on such and such date to this routing and account number. Can you check whether that deposit was received and whether it was rejected due to any account settings or security flags?" This specific language will help the customer service representative understand exactly what you need and will get you answers much faster. If your bank confirms that the deposit was rejected, ask them immediately what settings need to be changed to prevent this from happening if the IRS attempts to send the refund again. Then contact the IRS as soon as possible. You can call the IRS refund hotline at 800-829-1954. They'll be prepared for long wait times. When you get through to a representative, explain that your direct deposit was rejected due to bank settings, that you've now corrected those settings, and ask whether they can attempt to send the deposit again, or whether you'll need to wait for a paper check. Here's something else that's critically important. If you're planning to file your tax return soon, and you're not absolutely certain that your bank account is configured correctly for IRS deposits, consider using your old bank account instead, if you still have one open. Even if it's not the account you use most often, if it's an established account at a traditional bank that's been open for years, it's much more likely to accept the IRS deposit without any issues. You can always transfer the money to your preferred account once the refund arrives. This might seem inconvenient, but it's far less inconvenient than waiting months for a paper check. Another option to consider is having your refund deposited into multiple accounts. The IRS allows you to split your refund between up to 3 different accounts. You could put the bulk of your refund into your primary account, and a small amount, say $50 or $100, into a backup account at a traditional bank. This way, if there's a problem with your primary account, at least part of your refund will go through, and you'll be alerted to the issue much sooner. When you see that the small amount arrived, but the larger amount didn't, you'll know immediately that something is wrong with your primary account settings. Let's also address a related issue that's been causing confusion this tax season: the difference between bank account issues and IRS processing issues. If the IRS hasn't finished processing your return yet, the Where's My Refund tool will tell you that. It will show that your return is still being processed, and it won't give you a deposit date. That's a separate issue from what we're discussing here. What we're talking about is the situation where the IRS has finished processing your return. The tool shows that your refund has been sent. You have a confirmed deposit date, but the money never shows up in your account. That's when you need to immediately check these bank settings. There's also been confusion about refund advance loans and how they interact with these bank settings. If you used a tax preparation service that offered you a refund advance loan, the IRS will be sending your refund to the bank associated with that loan service, not directly to your personal bank account. The loan service will then deduct their fees and forward the remaining amount to you. In these cases, you don't need to worry about your personal bank's deposit settings. But you do need to make sure you understand exactly how and when you'll receive the remaining funds after the loan is repaid. Now here's something that many people don't realize. These deposit authorization settings aren't just important for tax refunds. They affect any government payment you might receive. If you're expecting Social Security benefits, veterans benefits, stimulus payments if any are issued in the future, or any other federal or state government deposits, these same settings could cause problems. Taking the time to verify and correct your account settings now will protect you from issues with all of these types of payments, not just your tax refund. Let me share some real-world examples of how this has affected people. There are numerous reports on tax forms of individuals who filed their returns in late January, received confirmation that their refunds were approved and sent, only to discover weeks later that the money never arrived. When they finally investigated, they found out that their online bank had rejected the deposit because they hadn't enabled government payments in their account settings. By the time they figured this out and corrected the setting, the IRS had already initiated the paper check process, meaning they had to wait an additional month and a half to receive their money. That's money they had counted on for bills, debt payments, or other financial obligations. Another common scenario involves people who recently switched banks. Maybe you were with a traditional bank for years, then moved to an online bank for better rates or features. Your old bank account might have been configured perfectly for IRS deposits because you'd received refunds there before. But your new account, even though you correctly updated your routing and account numbers on your tax return, doesn't have the necessary settings enabled because you never thought to check. The deposit gets rejected, and you're stuck in limbo trying to figure out what went wrong. Here's something else to keep in mind. Even if you received your refund without any issues last year, that doesn't guarantee everything will work smoothly this year. Banks update their security policies and fraud detection systems regularly. A bank that accepted IRS deposits without any special settings last year might have implemented new requirements this year. Or maybe you didn't change banks, but your bank merged with another institution or changed its policies. You can't assume that just because something worked in the past, it will automatically work now.